Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hacking Pixels. Hacking Pixels covers some of the hottest cybersecurity news from around the internet, along with a twist of retro video game nostalgia. Hacking Pixels is brought to you by Actionable Security, securing small businesses with actionable insights. Actionable Security specializes in cybersecurity services tailored for small businesses, such as risk assessments, email hardening, virtual chief information security officer advisory, and a lot more. Go to actionablesec.com for more information. Welcome to episode 15. I'm your host, Frank Morano, founder of Actionable Security, professional breaker of bad cyber habits, and someone who still believes retro games deserve more love than they get. We got a packed episode today. Some changes to the show, some new experiments, and a few stories that might make you rethink how you're using your tech. And of course, later on, we'll take a break from the serious stuff and dive into our retro game of the month. But we'll get there when we get there. Before I jump in, I wanted to highlight something that I'm really excited about: Actionable Security's new referral partner program. If you know a business that needs cybersecurity help, and let's be honest, most do, send them our way and earn rewards. It's simple, it's helpful, and it's a great way to support small businesses. Check it out at actionablesec.com/partners. All right, let's get into the news. Welcome to Tech and Pixels, our tech and gaming news brief. This used to be called Tech Brief, but since we love video games and wanted to cover more of them, the old name started to feel like it belonged in a quarterly shareholder report. Tech and Pixels just fits better. Same segment, just with a little bit more personality and a little more controller shaped chaos. Here's what's on deck right now: Apple's biggest week of 2026. New chips, new MacBooks, new iPads, new phones. Apple basically walked out on stage and said, "Here's everything you didn't ask for, but you'll probably buy anyway." The standout is the MacBook Neo, starting at $599, which is shockingly reasonable for Apple. Perfect for someone getting their first laptop or dipping their toes into Mac OS without selling a kidney. If you need more horsepower, there's the new M5 MacBook Air and M5 MacBook Pro, because Apple will never miss an opportunity to remind you that your current laptop is now vintage. And for phones, the iPhone 17e is here, a reasonably priced option that's making me question why I spent $200 more on the regular iPhone 17. Apple also announced some ridiculously priced studio displays. Seriously, just get an Acer ProArt or a BenQ and save yourself a small fortune. Next, Xbox shakeups plus Project Helix confirmed. There have been some big shakeups in Xbox land. Asha Sharma is stepping in, leadership is shifting, and Microsoft has officially confirmed Project Helix, the next gen Xbox that is basically a PC. A very nice PC, but still. It's clear that Xbox is in a transitional moment. Lots of moving parts, lots of we're exploring options, and not a lot of concrete answers yet. We'll see where it goes. And lastly, the one I'm personally excited about: Castlevania Belmont's Curse is coming in 2026. Castlevania has always been one of my favorite franchises. Anytime Konami remembers it exists, I perk up a little bit. And this time we actually got a real trailer, not a pachinko machine, not a mobile gotcha experiment, but a honest to goodness Castlevania game. Whips, monsters, atmosphere. It looks like the series is finally stepping out of the coffin again, and I'm absolutely here for it. That's Tech and Pixels. Quick hits, a few thoughts, and we keep moving. All right, welcome to where we let AI talk AI, the part of the show where I hand a stack of AI news stories to Notebook LM and we see what it does with them. Sometimes it's brilliant, sometimes it's confused, and sometimes it sounds like it's trying to take my job. We'll see how it does this month. Here's what we're feeding into the machine: ChatGPT browser extensions stealing your data, ChatGPT Go rolling out worldwide with ads, because of course. Apple confirming Gemini will power Siri, a Chrome bug tied to Gemini, and Claude code being abused to steal 150 gigabytes of data from Mexican agencies. Here's what the machine has to say.
This is the brief on the latest major AI updates and security threats. AI is getting so much more affordable and deeply integrated into the devices we use every single day. But as these tools level up, well, hackers are finding some pretty clever new ways to exploit them to steal our data. First, we have a massive shakeup because Google Gemini is officially taking over Siri. Let's be real. Apple's own AI journey has been a bit of a mess, with delayed and kind of subpar features. So they've inked a multi-year deal to use Google's models instead. But don't worry about your data. Apple promises your privacy won't be compromised since it will all run right on your Apple devices and their private cloud compute. Second, let's talk about pricing, because OpenAI just rolled out ChatGPT Go. It's a brand new subscription that costs just $8 a month. You get 10 times more messages, file uploads, and image creation than the free tier, utilizing their GPT 5.2 instant model. So what's the catch? Well, it'll show you ads at the bottom of your answers, and it doesn't include the advanced reasoning models found in their pricier tiers. Finally, we're seeing some serious concerns about how AI is being used to steal data. Hackers recently jailbroke Anthropic's Claude AI, using it to automate exploits and snatch up 150 gigabytes of sensitive data from Mexican government agencies. On top of that, security researchers caught 16 malicious ChatGPT Chrome extensions that literally hijack your session tokens. They're essentially stealing your identity to access sensitive apps like Slack and GitHub. As AI becomes more embedded in our everyday tech, the convenience is absolutely undeniable, but the security risks are scaling right alongside it.
All right, so that was something. I gave it a little bit more direction this time around, and honestly, I think it helped. It didn't go completely off the rails, it didn't hallucinate a new species of AI powered raccoon, and it actually stuck to the stories. Progress. Now, the story that I really want to focus on this month is a big one. Apple confirming that Gemini will power Siri. Because let's be real, Siri has been a hot mess for years. It can't even handle basic tasks. Half the time I ask it something simple and it just taps out. I've reached a point where I tell Siri to ask ChatGPT because that's the only way I get a useful answer. So, Apple teaming up with Google and using Gemini, that's not just a good move. It's Apple finally admitting, hey, maybe we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Maybe we should just use the wheel that already works. They've been falling behind in the AI race, and this is the first time in a long time where it feels like they're actually catching up. And honestly, they should have done this years ago. Now the downside. It looks like the Gemini enhancements aren't making it to iOS 26.4, which should be dropping any day now. And because of that delay, it's also pushing back some of the new toys people were expecting, like the updated Apple TV and the new HomePods. So we're stuck with the current version of Siri a little longer, but when Gemini finally lands, if Apple doesn't screw this up, Siri might actually become useful again, and that alone would be a miracle. Okay, let's get to our first story. Google Workspace isn't secure by default. Here's how to fix it before the hackers thank you. Let me paint you a picture. You sign up for Google Workspace, it's shiny, it's convenient, it's Google. What could go wrong? You assume everything is locked down because, well, it's Google. But here's the twist. Google Workspace is secure in the same way a house is secure when the doors exist, but nobody bothered to lock them. By default, Google Workspace is wide open. Files could be shared externally without much friction, links can be forwarded, people can access things you didn't even realize were accessible. It's not malicious, it's just designed for collaboration first, security second. And then there's authentication. Google gives you great tools like two-step verification, security keys, device controls, but none of that's turned on automatically. It's like buying a car with the airbags in the trunk. They're there, but you have to install them yourself. So what does tightening up things actually look like? It's going into the admin console and making sure external sharing isn't the Wild West. It's turning on two-step verification for everyone, not just the people who remember to do it. It's revealing which apps have access to your data and shutting down the ones that don't need to be there. It's making sure only approved devices can connect. It's setting alerts so you know when something weird happens instead of finding out after the fact. None of this is complicated. It's just the stuff most people never get around to doing. But once you do it, Workspace goes from hope nothing bad happens to okay, we're actually in control here. The big takeaway is Google Workspace can absolutely be secure, but only if you take the time to lock the doors. Next story. Everyone loves Moltbot except for your security team. OpenClaw, formerly Moltbot, is the office darling. It's helpful, it's friendly, it makes people feel productive. It's the digital equivalent of a golden retriever that brings you your slippers. But here's the thing, golden retrievers are great until they start dragging strangers into your living room. OpenClaw learns by collecting data, your company's data, and unless you set some boundaries, it'll happily ingest anything you feed it documents, emails, internal notes, sensitive information. It doesn't know what's confidential. It just knows you gave it a treat and it wants more. And because it integrates with other tools, it can end up connected to systems you never intended. Suddenly, it's pulling from calendars, file shares, chat logs, whatever it could get its paws on. So, how do you keep OpenClaw from becoming a liability? You start by deciding what it should and shouldn't see. You set limits on what employees can feed into it. You turn off integrations you don't need. You make sure people understand that just paste it into AI is not a universal solution. And you keep an eye on how things are being used so you could catch problems early. OpenClaw isn't dangerous on purpose, it's just enthusiastic. But that enthusiasm without boundaries is how you end up with AI that knows way more about your company than it should. The takeaway, AI assistants are incredible tools, but only when you're the one holding the leash. Last story. Your smart TV is watching you. How to lock down privacy and security on Google TV. Let's talk about your TV, not the big screen itself, but the brain inside it, the part that's quietly paying attention to everything you do. Smart TVs, especially Google TV, collect a staggering amount of data. They know what you watch, when you watch it, and how long you watch it, which apps you use, what you click on, and sometimes even what other devices are on your network. It's like having a roommate who never talks but takes notes on everything. And the reason is simple, your viewing habits are valuable. Advertisers love this stuff, app developers love this stuff, analytics companies love this stuff. Everyone wants a piece of what you're watching. So, how do you stop your TV from being a tattletale? You dive into the settings and start flipping switches. You turn off ad personalization, you disable tracking features, you limit app permissions so they only get what they need, you block unnecessary connections. You basically teach your TV that its job is to show you content, not study you like a science experiment. Once you do that, the TV becomes what it should have been all along, a screen, not a surveillance device with a remote. The takeaway, your TV isn't spying on you because it's evil, it's spying on you because no one told it not to. Let's take a break from the serious stuff and talk about something a little more nostalgic. This month's retro game of the month is Bonk's Adventure for the TurboGrafx 16. Known as PC Genjin in Japan, PC Kid, and BC Kid in Europe, Bonk's Adventure came out in 1989 and quickly became the face of the TurboGrafx 16, a system that deserved way more attention than it got in the US. Bonk was bright, colorful, and wonderfully weird. You're a caveman with a giant head, and your primary attack is headbutting things. It shouldn't work, but it absolutely does. Critics loved it, players loved it, and for a moment, Bonk was positioned to be the next big mascot, right alongside Mario and Sonic, if only the TurboGrafx 16 had taken off. Entertainment Weekly picked the game as the number 3 greatest game available in 1991, and Electronic Gaming Monthly ranked it as number 85 on their 100 best games of all times list. It's crazy that it's taken us so long to get to a TurboGrafx game. As you may know, I picked up the TurboGrafx 16 over the Sega Genesis. And yes, I stand by that decision. There were so many great hitting gems on that system, and Bonk was actually the game that sold me on it. The music, the colors, the charm, the platforming that was just pure fun. It wasn't the hardest game, but it didn't need to be. It had heart. I remember using Bonk to argue with friends as to the reason why the TurboGrafx was the system to get over the Super Nintendo or Genesis. Bonk went on to get sequels, Bonk's Revenge, Bonk 3, and even the wonderfully bizarre Air Zonk, which took the franchise into a futuristic shoot 'em up direction that no one expected, but everyone remembers. So, where can you play Bonk today? Bonk's Adventure was actually ported to the original Nintendo Entertainment System, Amiga, and Game Boy. You could find it in a few retro collections, some virtual console releases, and 2020's TurboGrafx 16 Mini. As for new games, sadly, Bonk hasn't made a modern comeback yet. There was a 3D remake of Bonk's Adventure in 2003 that fell flat, and a game called Bonk Brink of Extinction, where Bonk would have had multiple transformations, including Fire Bonk, Ice Bonk, Mini Bonk, and more, that was in development in 2011 but was unfortunately canceled. Konami currently holds the rights to Bonk and the rest of the Hudson Soft IPs, so let's hope one day that they remember that they have it and Bonk gets its Castlevania Belmont's Curse moment. That's all, folks. Thanks for listening. Join us next month, same bad time, same bad channel. And remember, this episode of Hacking Pixels is brought to you by Actionable Security, your trusted partner in safeguarding small businesses. With decades of experience, Actionable Security offers tailored cybersecurity services such as risk assessments, email hardening, and virtual chief information security officer advisory. For more details on how we can help protect your business, visit actionablesec.com.